Regular meeting of the Salem City Council is being held tonight, Thursday, February 13th, 2025 at 7 p.m. for the purpose of transacting any and all business. Notice of this meeting was posted on February 11th, 2025 at 1:08 p.m. This meeting is being recorded and live on SATV and Zoom unless technological issues interrupt the transmission. Council is absent is Councilor Gersolo and Councilor Watson-Felt. Councilor Varela moves to dispense with the reading of the record of the previous meeting. Everyone please stand and rise to recite the Pledge of Allegiance led by Councilor Harvey.
United States of America.
To the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Salem City Council honors that this land is Namkeg, or fishing place, where generations of Namkeg people from the Pawtucket Band of the Massachusetts tribe lived and passed through for centuries. We acknowledge that this is unceded indigenous land and also acknowledge that the Massachusetts tribe will continue to honor and hold this land into the present. Salem City Council is committed to having ongoing meaningful dialogue with the indigenous peoples who have presence in Salem in order to dismantle the legacies of oppression and inequities that persist today. Let the record show that Councilor Watson-Felt is with us in person. Public testimony. Public testimony is not to exceed 15 minutes. Public testimony is not a public hearing or a question and answer period. Sign-up must occur 30 minutes prior to the meeting. President shall, depending on the number of speakers, set a time limit not to exceed 3 minutes, which each individual presenting testimony must abide. Tonight, we have 5 speakers who have signed up, so they have 3 minutes each. So, first up would be Mr. Tom Fury, former councilor.
Thank you, Mr. President, and thank you, fellow members of the City Council. Tom Fury, 36 Dunlap Street, Salem, Mass., former City Councilor for 24 years, 12 years on the school committee. It's a pleasure to be here. Tonight, you have a real opportunity to make a real difference in the quality of local government. You have the real opportunity to reappoint the city clerk, Eileen Simons, who makes us all shine, who makes this city council chamber shine, the meetings shine, the city elections shine, the whole city hall shine. By reappointing her into the 21st century, we'll be in good hands. Second of all, you have a real opportunity that we should have done a long time ago. I apologize that we didn't do it. 25 years ago, I stood here in the city council chamber calling for a 4-year mayor, and now we have a 4-year mayor. And it's made a lot of difference, a 4-year mayor. There's nothing so powerful as an idea whose time has come. So I commend and congratulate you for taking a major step forward in local democracy and the local level by going for an election commission. It's long overdue. So the city clerk's office just is a very busy office, 24/7. Recently, in 1 year, we had 4 different elections. Elections are very important on the local, state, and national level. And we've been very blessed by having Eileen. State inspectors have come in over the period of time, and our elections have proven to be spotless, clean, transparent. What democracy is all about on the local level, where the rubber hits the wheel, sincerely. And Eileen, I hope, is a unanimous appointment, a no-brainer to appoint tonight for the 21st century. But also, you have a real opportunity and obligation for the Election Commission. I congratulate you. I commend you. I wish we did it before. It's long overdue. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next up, Mr. Stephen Kapanthis.
Thanks, buddy. Steve Kapanthis. Good evening. I want to talk about public testimony and what I consider to be unreasonable. When you set public testimony and time limits, what's required is that you're fair, equitable, and reasonable. So like tonight, we all have 3 minutes. So you've set the precedent. Just like the first meeting of this year, you set the precedent of allowing 3 minutes so that people can come up and you can listen to us. However, then when there's something that's pertinent that a lot of people want to speak of, you divide the time. And there's been times that people come up here and are only granted 30 seconds. That is unreasonable. That was not our past practices. We've asked you to change it. There's been no action to change that. And I'm committed to that being changed this year. So I ask again for you to take that up and change it. If it's not taken up, the next time that 30 seconds or 1 minute is provided, I will come to speak for 30 minutes and I will force the change. If it's interrupting the meeting, stopping the meeting, getting trespassed from the building, that's where we're going to take it. It's unreasonable to allow some people to speak for 3 minutes, and then at the very next subsequent meeting, they could be talking about the exact same subject, and you're saying, you get 30 seconds. Go look at our previous meetings. It wasn't undue time. Didn't draw meetings on. There's many meetings where there's only 5 or less than 5 people, sometimes none. When things are important and the people want to talk, you should be willing to listen to them. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, Mr. Yoleni Inoa.
Thank you. Hi, my name is Yoleni Inoa, 53 Clark Street, Salem. We are here, we represent the Dominican Committee, so we celebrate our Dominican Independence Day in February 27, and we'd be happy to invite you to the big event. So we have on 27, raise the flag in Lafayette Park at 5 o'clock, and also we will have after that, in the following evening, Friday 28, a big event in Houghton Hotel from 7 to 12 o'clock. So you are invited, and I get in my college reading the invitation for you guys.
Good evening. Honorable councilors, the Dominican Flag Committee would like to cordially invite you to the 181th Dominican Independence Day celebration. It will start with a raising of the flag ceremony at 5 p.m. Thursday, February 27th at Lafayette Park. The following night, we will hold our formal celebration gala night in the ballroom of the Hawthorne Hotel Friday, February 28th at 6 p.m. Thank you. Sincerely, the Dominican Flag Committee of Salem.
And also for the last thing, we tried to raise the flag the same day here at the City Hall at 8:30 a.m. So we already been talked to the mayor, and probably we're gonna have approval from the mayor. The same day is the Dominican Independence Day, and we would like it to receiving from you guys proclamation to declare Salem the Dominican Independence Day on 27, like every year you usually do. Thank you, Eileen, for giving me the opportunity to ask. We really appreciate you to receiving us here. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I will make sure I will be warm that day. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next up, Noah Brett Safarian.
Hi, my name is Brett Safarian. I live at 16 Connors Road. I've come to speak to the City Council before about the city seal, and I was here when the task force passed, and I thank the council for it. And I'm still thankful to the council for creating the task force. I'm not here to talk about the seal itself today. I'm here to talk about the commemorative coin the city is considering for the 400th anniversary of Salem next year. I'm looking forward to the 400th, and I like commemorative coins. I brought one. When I went to Normandy, I got one from D-Day. I'm happy to show it. Anybody wants to see it. But I'm troubled by the lack of foresight in putting the seal itself on the reverse side of the coin. I don't understand the plan. You've created a task force to review and potentially change the seal, and it potentially could change right after the 400th anniversary, which then seems very odd. We're putting something on that might not even be the city seal by the time the commemoration start. I also kind of worry that having it on the coin might influence the eventual decision of the task force on the seal or the city government, undermining the courageous stance that this council took last fall. Salem is a historical city. We have plenty of options. I'm not saying we have to put like a witch in a weird hat on it. We have the friendship. We can do some other reference to the trade from the colonial era. I'll also point out that if it didn't happen to be the seal, say the city seal was a boat or a star or whatever it might be, the city would never put an Asian person in traditional dress on the coin. It wouldn't be relevant, it wouldn't make sense. And nobody would suggest, and if they did, they'd be regarded like a lunatic. It wouldn't make sense if it didn't happen to be on the seal. Although I kind of feel like I'm now kind of talking about the seal again. So I'd just like to close by saying that I really hope the city council encourages the city government to reconsider putting the seal on the coin. And other than that, thank you very much.
Thank you. Caitlin Halapa.
Thank you, President Presnitsky. Thank you, council members. Caitlin Halapa, 70 Boston Street. Thank you for the opportunity to speak tonight. I'm also fairly excited to hear about this commemorative coin for the quadricentennial. I'd love to see these coins celebrate Salem's rich history and our values as a community, and I hope this is a celebration that all of us can look back on and be proud of. To that end, I'd imagine you realize I'm talking about the seal here. The way I see it, there's really two options that the city can pursue other than going ahead and using the existing seal. Either wait the 18 months for the City Seal Task Force to create its report and bring that to this body and to the mayor, and then use that seal if it changes, or pick any other symbol that's related to Salem that can go on the seal. We heard some ideas before. I've heard the Old Town Hall thrown out. I am sure there's no shortage of ideas for alternatives. And if I may have another couple seconds here, there is an unrelated issue kind of in the city when we get the amount of snowfall that we've had recently, which is that many businesses are not shoveling or clearing their sidewalks. I'm not sure how much the council can do about it. I know there's restrictions based on, I think it's Chapter 85, Section 5 of the Massachusetts General Law that limits the amount that the fine can be to, I think, $50. If you're a business that's chump change, and it's probably more expensive to hire someone to clear the sidewalk than it is to just eat the fee. I'm not sure if these businesses aren't being charged and fined every subsequent day, like the ordinance states they're supposed to, or if they just don't care. I'm asking the body if there's anything that can be done. It is dangerous. It's forcing people into the street. I have two small dogs. They're Chihuahua mixes. You might imagine what that looks like when we get this amount of snow trying to go on a sidewalk that's not cleared. So anything that can be done, I would appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. And that's the list. Thank you. Hearings, none. Appointments and reappointments.
We have held from the last meeting the mayor's appointments of the following with their terms to expire.
Councilor Varela.
Thank you, President Presnitsky. So we have William Burnham for the Sustainability Energy Resiliency Committee, Peter Habib, our Zoning Board of Appeals, Brendan Murray for the Historical Commission, Bob Peterson for the Historical Commission, and Emily Rubio for the Scholarship and Education Committee. And I move for confirmation by roll call vote.
Councilor Varela moves for confirmation by roll call vote. Under discussion.
Thank you, President Brodzinski. I just would like to personally thank every member here on this list that is willing to serve on our boards. Thank you.
Would you like to suspend the rules? I'm sorry. Councilor Varela moves for confirmation by roll call vote. Any further discussion? Councilor Varela moves for confirmation by roll call vote. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Council Watson-Felt?
Yes.
Council Varela?
Yes.
Council Stott?
Yes.
Council Marcillo?
Yes.
Councilor Merkel?
Yes.
Council Harvey?
Yes.
Counselor Hapworth,
Yes.
Counselor Davis,
Yes.
Counselor Cohen,
Yes.
and Counselor Prosnowski.
Yes. Council. We have 10 yeas, no one opposed, and one absent. The matter carries. Councilor Varela?
Thank you, President Brzezinski. I'd like to suspend the rules to allow our new appointees to speak if they shall choose.
Certainly. We have Mr.
Peter Habib for the zoning board. I've moved here about 6 years ago, so I've been living in Salem since then. Married to my wife who grew up in Salem, left for a while for Korea but came back. I am a design director at Nelson Architects. I've been working in the field for about 18 years now. I'm in charge of a lot of the mixed-use projects throughout the U.S., including academic work, civic work, multifamily, high-rise office, high-rise residential, and I've done a lot of urban design as well. And as an early designer too, I work a lot with zoning and with planning boards myself, usually on the other end. So I think it'd be a good benefit for me to be part of the planning board for Salem, to give them my expertise. And also, since I'm very familiar with zoning and planning throughout the U.S., and I'm sure it's pretty much the same in Salem as well. So I think I can contribute a lot to serving here, and that's kind of why I'm doing it. So.
Thank you. Anyone else in the audience? Here we go.
Hi, Brendan Murray for the Historic Commission, and I just want to say thank you. It's an honor to be appointed, and I look forward to serving. I think I bring a unique skill set to the commission, being that I'm a contractor, own two restoration businesses. I've grown up in Salem, lived here pretty much my entire life, and I think I understand the community, understand the historic nature of our community and the importance that being a historic city in Massachusetts and being a leader in historic preservation brings. So I hope to contribute to that in a positive way. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else in our audience? Madam Clerk, do we have anybody in Zoom? Mr. Burnham, we're in the process of hooking you up. Can you hear us?
Yes, can you hear me? Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you now.
Oh, okay, great. So my name is William Burnham. I moved to Salem a couple years ago. I have a background in engineering, and that was just appointed to the Sustainability, Energy and Resiliency Committee. I think my background in engineering and energy management would make me a good fit for this role, and I'm really looking forward to serving the city. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else in Zoom? Okay. Thank you all very, very much. Appreciate it. Further appointments and reappointments.
We have held from the last meeting the mayor's reappointments of the following with terms to expire.
Councilor Varela.
Thank you, President Prosnowski. A lot of people on this list. Move for confirmation by roll call vote.
Councilor Varela moves for confirmation by roll call vote. Under discussion.
Thank you, President. Again, just thank you to these reappointments for their continued service.
Any further discussion? If not, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Council Watson-Felt?
Yes.
Council Varela?
Yes.
Council Stott?
Yes.
Council Marcillo?
Yes.
Council Merkel?
Yes.
Council Harvey?
Yes.
Council Hapworth?
Yes.
Council Davis?
Yes.
Council Cohen?
Yes.
And Council Prosnowski.
Yes. Further appointments, and I'm sorry. We have 10 members voting, one absent, All yeas, no nays. Thank you. Matter carries. Further appointments and reappointments.
We have the mayor's appointment of Krista McGaha of 19 Pickman Street to the Zoning Board of Appeals.
Councilor Watson-Feld.
Thank you, President Presnowski. I move that this be held under the rules.
Councilor Watson-Feld moves it be held under the rules. Any objection? Seeing none? All those in favor? Opposed? Matter carries. Further appointments and reappointments.
We have the mayor's appointment of Glenn LaRose of 6 Levitt Street to the Salem Redevelopment Authority.
Councilor Stott.
Thank you, President Presnowski. I move that this be held under the rules.
Councilor Stott moves that this be held under the rules. Seeing no objection, all those in favor? All those opposed? Matter carries. Further appointments and reappointments.
We have the mayor's appointment of Emily Gonzalez of 4 Henry Street to the Historical Commission.
Councilor Harvey.
Thank you, President Presnowski. I move this be held under the rules.
Councilor Harvey moves this matter be held under the rules. Seeing no objection, all those in favor? Matter carries. Further appointments and reappointments.
We have the mayor's appointment of Ayanna Lilly and Johnny Fabian to the Salem Youth Commission.
Councilor Varela.
Thank you, President Presnowski. I move that this be held under the rules.
Councilor Varela moves it be held under the rules. Seeing no objection, all those in favor? Matter carries. Further appointments and reappointments.
We have the mayor's appointment of Alexa Ogno of 188 Federal Street to the Bicycling and Shared Path Advisory Committee.
Councilor Watson-Feld.
Thank you, President Presnowski. I move this be held under the rules.
Councilor Watson-Feld moves it that this matter be held under the rules. Seeing no objection, all those in favor? All those opposed? Matter carries. Further appointments and reappointments. Councilor Varela.
We have the mayor's reappointment of the following city employees with terms to expire.
Councilor Varela.
Thank you, President Presnowski. I move that this be held under the rules.
Councilor Varela moves the matter be held under the rules. Seeing no objection, all those in favor? All those opposed? Matter carries. Further appointments and reappointments.
We have the mayor's reappointments of the following with their terms to expire.
Councilor Varela.
Thank you, President. I move this be held under the rules.
Councilor Varela holds the appointments be held under the rules. Seeing no objection, all those in favor? All those opposed? Matter carries. Communications from the mayor.
We have an appropriation of $75,000 in the retirement buyback account to be expended for sick leave buybacks to be paid out for active employees.
Councilor Merkel.
Thank you, President Presnowski. I move for suspension of the rules.
Councilor Merkel moves for suspension of the rules. Seeing no objection, Councilor Merkel.
Thank you. I move for adoption.
Councilor Merkel moves for adoption. Under discussion.
Thank you. These funds will cover contractual obligations for sick leave buybacks.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, Councilor Merkel moves for the adoption of the appropriation of $75,000 in the retirement board buyback account to be expended for the sick leave buyback to be paid for the active employees. All those in favor? All those opposed? Matter carries. Further communications from the mayor.
With the appropriation of $37,635.30 within retirement buyback account for contractual buybacks for a public library and school department employee.
Councilor Merkel.
Thank you, President Presnowski. I move for suspension of the rules.
Councilor Merkel moves for suspension of the rules. Seeing no objection, Councilor Merkel.
Thank you. I move for adoption.
Councilor Merkel moves for adoption. Under discussion.
Thank you. I want to say thank you to Susan Sizebach and Judy Davis for their service to our Salem Public Library and our Salem Public Schools, respectively.
Further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of Councilor Merkel's motion for the appropriation of $37,635.35 retirement buyback account to the contractual buyback for the public library and school department employee. All those in favor? Those opposed? Matter carries. Further communications from the mayor.
We have per Master General Law, Chapter 44, Section 64, to pay for a prior fiscal year invoice using current fiscal year appropriation in the amount of $5,593.43 for the IT department.
Councilor Merkel.
Thank you, President Presnusky. I move for suspension of the rules.
Councilor Merkel moves for suspension of the rules. Seeing no objection, Councilor Merkel.
Thank you. I move for adoption by roll call vote, 2/3 required.
Councilor Merkel moves for adoption by roll call vote. Under discussion.
Thank you. This is an invoice from Civic Plus. It was dated August 1st of 2024, but it wasn't received until the beginning of last month. The original invoice was sent to Matt Killian, who no longer works for the city, and Civic Plus did not follow up after the emailed invoice would have bounced back to them. So we are obligated to pay it. And as an FYI, Civic Plus is our web host. They host our website and such.
Any further discussion? Seeing none. On the motion for adoption by roll call vote by Councilor Merkel to pay prior fiscal year invoice using current fiscal year appropriations in the amount of $5,593.43 for the IT department. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Council Watson-Felt?
Yes.
Council Varela?
Yes.
Council Stott?
Yes.
Council Marcillo?
Yes.
Council Merkel?
Yes.
Council Harvey?
Yes.
Council Hapworth?
Yes.
Council Davis?
Yes.
Council Cohen?
Yes.
And Council Presnusky?
Yes. On the matter, the appropriation of $5,593.43 to the IT department, we have 10 yeas, no nays, and 1 absent. Matter carries. Further communications with the mayor.
We have an appropriation of $5,000 to the golf course souvenir merchandise account.
Councilor Merkel.
Thank you, President Presnusky. I move for suspension of the rules.
Councilor Merkel moves for suspension of the rules. Seeing no objection, Councilor Merkel.
Thank you. I move for adoption.
Councilor Merkel moves for adoption. Under discussion.
This $5,000 appropriation is to ensure there are sufficient funds to cover purchases for resale at the golf course clubhouse through the end of fiscal year 2025.
Any further discussion? Seeing none. Councilor Merkel's motion at $5,000 appropriated for golf course souvenirs and merchandise account. All those in favor? All those opposed? Matter carries. Further communications from the mayor.
We have an ordinance to amend an ordinance relative to regulating the maintenance of abandoned and foreclosing residential and commercial properties.
Councilor Hapworth.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move for to refer to the Committee on Ordinances, Licenses, and Legal Affairs.
Councilor Hapworth moves that this matter be moved to Ordinances, License, and Legal Affairs. Under discussion.
Thank you, Mr. President. I am comfortable with passing this. Actually, I assume folks will have questions about it and want to discuss it, which I think is best and most appropriate in committee. Basically, there is a cost to an abandoned or foreclosed property that the community bears. Primarily, it's a blighted property. It's dangerous. There's a lot of issues that can come in a neighborhood that have a blighted or foreclosed property. And there's also a housing crisis right now, and we want to encourage folks to either provide housing within those units or pass it along to somebody who will, and not be many years abandoned property. Currently, there's a $300 flat annual fee for these properties. This is more of an escalating fee that starts at $500. Moves to $1,000, $2,000, $3,000 as the years move along. Also requires the property owner to provide a point of contact for the city each year and keep that up to date. So I think these are all good things for our neighborhoods, but if people have questions about them, we can talk about them in committee.
Thank you. Councilor Watson-Felt.
Thank you, President Presnusky. Would the chair of OLA be open to co-posting that with the Committee of the Whole?
Councilor Hapworth.
That he would. The chair would also be open to sending that over to the Community and Economic Development if you'd like to, but I'll probably take it to NOLA.
This chair would be also happy to take it.
No, I think OLA is probably appropriate unless folks feel otherwise.
On Councilor Hapworth's motion that this matter be moved to the Committee of Ordinances, Licenses, and Legal Affairs, including the Council of the Whole, which is amending an ordinance relative to regulating and the maintenance of abandoned and foreclosed residential and community properties. All those in favor? All those opposed? Matter carries. Further communication to the mayor. Let the record show that Councilor Varela has recused himself. Further, go ahead. Sorry, go ahead.
We have a home rule petition relative to an act of increasing the local option tax in the city of Salem on the sale of marijuana and marijuana products.
Councilor Hapworth.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move to refer to the Committee on Ordinances, Licenses, and Legal Affairs.
Councilor Hapworth move this to the Committee on Ordinances, License, and Legal Affairs under discussion.
Thank you, Mr. President. It's another one where I generally feel comfortable with this. I understand that almost definitely nothing will happen with this once it comes out of this council. But I think it's a good message to send to the state that this is not working. These host community agreements are not working in the city of Salem or anywhere in the state probably. This would move it from a 3% excise tax to 6%, and it would remove the host community agreements, which have become difficult to navigate for the cities and for the businesses. And I think something like this makes a lot more sense for this community and probably other communities in Massachusetts. But again, I assume that folks will have questions about this and want to discuss it in committee, so that's why I've sent it over to Ola.
Councilor Morcillo.
Thank you, President. I'm also comfortable voting on this because I agree. We've seen the track record of getting home rule petitions through. And if this is a shot across the bow to the state legislature to, again, point out the fact that municipalities get 3% of the tax and the state gets 17% of the tax collected, I'm all for it. Like, let's do that. Let's put them on notice that there's a discrepancy here. And just to be clear, it's up to 6%, and it's up to the council to decide what that percentage would be. But again, the likelihood of this getting through the state legislature is likely nil, but it sends a message, and I think the message is important. Thank you.
Councilor Cohen.
Thank you, President Prosnowski. So I love this idea because it's really unfair. We were the first community to be able to do this. We negotiated some really good faith agreements, and that they get basically almost 5 times the amount that we do is really unfair. The state does. I'm not in favor of voting on this today for one reason, and that is because some of the language is really a little bit hazy about whether this would allow more retailers. And I think we need to hash that out in the committee, but I think once we get that done, we send it there, and then we can all call legislators and make sure they pass it. Thank you.
Any further discussion? On Councilor Hapworth's motion to refer the matter of increasing the local option tax on the sale of marijuana and marijuana projects to the committee of, to the OLA committee, all
co-posted
and co-posted with the committee of the whole. I don't believe we need a roll call vote for this one, Madam Clerk. All those in favor? All those opposed? That carries. Further communications of the mayor.
We've been ordered that the Salem Public Schools is hereby authorized to enter into a memorandum of understanding with state agencies regarding transportation costs for Every Student Succeeds Act.
The records show that Councilor Varela is back with us, and Councilor Varela, this is yours.
Thank you, President. I move that we move adopted.
Councilor Varela moves for adoption. On the discussion.
No discussion.
Any further discussion? Seeing none. Councilor Varela's motion to adopt the order authorizing Salem Public Schools to enter a memorandum of understanding to the Department of Public Health and Human Services. All those in favor? All those opposed? Matter carries. Further communications of the mayor.
We have an order that the mayor is hereby authorized to use the city sale on minted Salem 400-plus medallions commemorating the city's quadricentennial.
Councilor Morcillo.
Thank you, President. I move that this be referred to the Committee on Government Services.
Councilor Morcillo moves that this be moved to the Committee on Government Services. Under discussion?
Thank you, President. I think it's important to send this to committee just to get discussion going and to have the mayor come and present to the committee the reasons for choosing the city seal. I will point out that the city seal is already being used on merchandise if you just Google. And this is something that the legal department is looking into enforcing. But one of the reasons to send it is if we do decide to use the city seal, the city clerk would like to provide some legal language that would ban the use of the image by other third parties, and that's important. The funds raised by the sale of the commemorative medallion, which is a traditional use of a city seal during the city's anniversary commemoration, would help to fund the Salem 400+ year of celebratory events. And again, sending it to committee is a good way to hear all the reasons from the mayor and from the coordinator for the Salem 400 and to have a discussion.
Further discussion will go around the room. Councilor Merkel.
Thank you, President Presnowski. I want to express that I'm not in support of considering this out of acknowledgement and respect for the many residents that have emailed us and spoken here tonight and previously their concerns about the imagery on it. And I know it's currently our seal. We use it. But I want to respect the process we put in place for the task force to research and review it before expanding its use. I know we do currently use it, and there may be no changes that come before us. But I don't see why, when we have many great options of representing our history. So yeah, out of respect for what's been expressed about this for concerns, I'm not comfortable with why we would expand the use of it when there's so many ways to represent our great city. Thank you.
Councilor Davis.
Thank you, President Presnowski. Agreed with Councilor Merkel. I really appreciate the public comment that we heard today, and over the course of discussing this issue, hearing from so many people about how the seal affects them. How they're offended by the seal, want to see it reviewed. I'm glad that we're doing that review and that hopefully we're going to see a change. We do not need to be using something that we had people reach out to us that were even offended that this was on the agenda. So I would love to see this not go to committee and for us to vote it down.
Councilor Cohen.
Thank you, President Presnowski. I will neither vote to send this to committee or approve it. I had a very disturbing conversation over 40 minutes with the person who is facilitating all the work for the Salem 400, which I think is a great series of events that we're going to have next year. Person didn't actually know exactly why we set up the task force. And when I asked why the seal, said that it's history. And we actually talked about, like, Salem has some history that's not that positive, slave trade, witch trials, etc. Maybe the seal. I then asked, is there a way to be more creative and flexible? And she said, I'm flexible. So I asked a number of times, what other ideas have you considered? And there was zero. This is a really awesome city. We have so much history. Resiliency from the fire. It's very diverse. We have people who are Polish, French Canadian, Hispanic, Black, all different things, even a couple of Jewish people. We have awesome architecture. We have a marine heritage that goes from 400 years ago all the way to the present. We're doing wind terminal. My wife's bed and breakfast is older than the seal, believe it or not. While I was, and so many people love living here, and so many more people love coming here, whether we want them to come here or not. Well, I was the trash and recycling coordinator, 2013, 14, and 15, we converted to the bins, and we distributed over 28,000 bins with the seal. And I don't remember one tourist ever offering money to buy one of our trash bins because the seal was on it. And how about the mayor? I know the mayor can't hear me, but I would just suggest that the mayor and the person who's running, Ms. Cherble, running the Salem 400, walk around the city, talk to residents, look around, and see some of the really valuable things that people find valuable. Why don't you ask people why they like living here, what means something to them, what resonates with them? I know for me, it seems like everywhere I go, I bump into friends. And so I would do something about friendship. Oh, we happen to have a boat that's called the Friendship. So I think that the city needs to be flexible and creative. I think this was an insensitive, really outrageous act. I didn't hear from the appropriate people. When I did, when she reached out to us, I immediately talked to her, and I was really not satisfied that there was any exploration of any alternative. So whatever the vote is today, I'm going to vote no.
Councilor Watson-Pelt.
Thank you, President Presnewski. I want to first appreciate the public comment that was shared today and the emails, I should say, that we did receive on this matter. And I will spare the public my full 4 email exchange with Ms. Cherble, but I am going to read the most recent one because I agree with Councilor Cohen that I think there's been a real lack of creativity and a real lack of awareness and a real lack of respect and a real lack of sensitivity given our recent conversations. My most recent response to Ginny is, the entire point about not wanting to use the witch to commemorate, the witch symbol, to commemorate the establishing of Salem 400 years ago is, as I understand it, to the APIAC community, the same with the image on the seal. The issue for me is not that it's our seal or that it's an historic image of great significance. And please let me confirm, which I have said in this chamber multiple times, I am undecided myself on if I would support a full changing it, which could actually be proposed before the end of the 18 months that they have. The bottom line for me is this. We've been told by a minority population that the image causes harm. In response to that, we entered seemingly in good faith into a period of review and reflection to profit off the use of that reportedly harmful image while simultaneously telling the public that the harmed community, that we care and are open to review, is incongruous with the message of reflection and care, and I will not be supporting it. I will. That's the end of the quote. I gave some additional thoughts on other ideas, the bandstand, century trees, merchant ships of the sail era that do not depict human figures. In my opinion, that there are options. I will be voting to send it to committee because I would like to hear and have the entire public hear directly from the mayor and Ms. Cherble what their thinking process has been. Thank you.
Councilor Varela.
Thank you, President Presnewski. Although I'm not in support of this, because we are engaged with a task force that is looking into the seal, I think we need to be patient, let the task force discover what's going to happen with it. That being said, if this is being sent to committee, I'm going to schedule a meeting for next Tuesday to talk about this. I think there's other options for this commemorative coin, but out of respect, we need to allow the task force to disseminate and discover what could be changed, if there is even a change. So for that reason, I find it a little disingenuous that we would throw this in as quickly as possible without letting the task force do its work. So for that, I'm not in support of this, but if this goes to committee, it's going to happen on Tuesday at 6 o'clock. Thank you.
Councilor Hapworth.
Thank you, Mr. President. We were just here having this conversation like not that long ago, and I thought we had good, spirited conversations. I thought we heard from the public. I thought we all made our opinions known, and then we handed it off to a task force that was charged with figuring this out. I cannot believe this is in front of us again. This is absolutely insane that we have a commemorative coin in front of us to approve here. I understand this was used 100 years ago, but it is a crazy thing to imagine that we could be potentially, as part of the Salem 400, we could be putting forward a new city seal, maybe even a new city flag, and also have a commemorative coin with the old seal that was considered offensive by many in this community on the other side of it. That seems crazy to me. It also, just from a practical standpoint, this feels like thinking that you might be changing your name and then ordering monogram towels of the old name. Like, why are we doing this? So I think that I would vote to not even send this to committee right now. There's a lot of great ideas that we have out there. I don't know why a local artist wasn't consulted to design one side of the coin. It feels like this coin is going to have two tailses with a logo on one side and a seal on the other side. We need something a little more dynamic on the other side, but I think that this came forward with, unfortunately, not enough thought, and I would not want to send this to committee. Thank you.
Councilor Varela.
Thank you, President Presniewski. If this does go to committee, I would like this to be co-posted with the committee of the whole as well.
Councilor Hapworth, are you taking back your motion to refer this to committee? Okay, I'm sorry. Councilor Morcillo.
Yeah, I think Councilor Varela is asking for it to be co-posted, right? Which is fine. And I just want to ask, did we check to see if the mayor is available on Tuesday since it's school vacation week? I just don't want to, make promises.
If he can come, if he can come. If he can't, he can't. It's going to be scheduled on Tuesday.
Continue, Councilor Varela.
Thank you. Thank you. If I may, if this is important to the mayor, I think he can accommodate time to come to the committee meeting at 6 o'clock, respectfully.
Councilor Watson-Feld.
Respectfully, thank you, Councilor Presniewski. Tuesday is short notice for everyone at this table, too. Unfortunately, I myself am not able to even attend that meeting because I'll be out of town for work. And unfortunately, you know how I feel. I've made my position very clear, but I would like to participate in that conversation if it does go to committee. So I appreciate Councilor Varela's passion. It matches my own. He's one of my favorites. And I just am going to respectfully say, let's reflect on Tuesday's scheduling and make sure that the right voices in the room can be there, because I do think that the public needs to hear directly from the mayor on this. And I want to hear too. So let's take it offline, friend. Thank you.
Councilor Varela's date is not part of the motion, so I'm sure that we can speak off after the meeting about a date that helps everyone else. Councilor Cohen.
Thank you, President Presniewski. So in the backup documents, we had a letter from the mayor. There was absolutely no explanation of why this should be used. And I'm actually wanting all my colleagues and myself to send a message to the mayor that we're just not going to entertain this. We do not have to send it to committee. We don't have to vote for this. We can have the mayor and his office go back and maybe come up with some ideas and present it to us. And if they want to present the seal to us, fine. I totally agree with Councilor Hapworth. We need to send a message. I'm not all that interested in accommodating the mayor on this. I think it minimizes the fact that we had a race equity commission that this body voted to establish based on the race equity task force that met for, seems like a long time. And they actually made a recommendation to the council, which is the beginning of, which is what started the whole process for the task force. And then we had some very as Councilor Hapworth said, very spirited discussions between councilors, people in the public, very respectful of everyone being able to weigh in. And now we are circumventing that whole process. And I actually think in some ways, us voting to go forward with this in any way is minimizing what the task force stands for. Because the task force has up to 18 months to do this. Up to 18 months. And I do want to reinforce something that Councilor Watson-Feld said. When you put a dollar value on anything, it creates a different thing. People are going to go back to France or Australia or Alabama or wherever they came from, and they're going to say, hey, look, I was in Salem. This is Salem, okay? I don't want it to be something that we haven't figured out as a city is appropriate or not. So I'm hoping that everyone joins me and Councilor Hapworth, and vote not to send this to committee, and I just as soon vote it down right now. They can come up with another idea and present it to us, and there's so many creative people in the city. They came up with this thing in 5 minutes. And they put it in front of the council, and the mayor could have reached out to us individually or collectively and didn't. Thank you.
Councilor Merkel?
Thank you, President Presnewski. And I would like to state again that I am not in support of considering this. And I also want to respect people's time. I mean, for all the points that were just made, residents have come in many times expressing their dismay at the city seal. And now we just keep putting it back on the table. For them having to use their time to come back in front of us again and email again to keep their voice heard. And I am baffled as why we would send it to committee and continue that. I'm not quite sure if I'm expressing myself, so feel free to chime in. But that doesn't sit well with me either. That people have to keep using their time to make this point, because we just are continuing this, and for the reasons the other councilors have said, seems baffling. Thank you.
Any further discussion on Councilor Morcello's motion to send the matter of authorizing the mayor to use the city seal on a minted Salem 400 medallion commemorating the city's quadricentennial? All those in favor?
Roll call vote, please. I request a roll call vote.
Okay. We have more than 3 hands. So, Madam Clerk, would you call the roll? Co-posted.
All right, everybody. All right. Council Watson-Felt?
No.
Council Varela?
No.
Council Stott?
Yes.
Council Marcillo?
Yes.
Council Merkel?
No.
Council Harvey?
Yes.
Council Hapworth?
No.
Council Davis?
No.
Council Cohen?
No.
And Council Presnewski?
Yes. On the matter of sending to government services, co-posted with the Committee of the Whole, committee meeting that the mayor is authorized to use the city seal on the quadricentennial medallion. We have 4 yeas, 6 nays, and 1 absent. The matter does not carry. There will be no meeting. The matter does not carry. There will be so voted that we are not using the under discussion. Go ahead, Councilor Marcello.
I'd like to make a motion to deny the use of the city seal for the commemorative coin.
Second.
Councilor Marcello makes a motion to deny the use of the city seal.
Second. Oh,
Second.
sorry.
5 seconds.
5 seconds. Okay, I don't.
Roll call vote, please.
Do we have 3 hands for a roll call vote? Okay. Madam Clerk, please call. Would you like this copy to copy off of that?
We have to take care of the items. That's all we're doing here.
Council Watson Felt.
Yes.
Council Varela.
Yes.
Council Stott.
Yes.
Council Marcillo.
Yes.
Council Marco.
Yes.
Council Jerslow. Oh, sorry.
Absent.
Council Harvey.
No.
Council Hapworth.
Yes.
Council Davis.
Yes.
Council Cohen.
Yes.
And Council Prosnewski.
Yes. On Councilor Marcillo's motion to deny the mayor the authorization to use the city seal on the minted Salem 400 medallions commemorating the city's quadricentennial, we have 9 yeas, 1 yea. That motion carries. Further communications from the mayor.
We have a resolution recognizing the service of Lawrence Spang.
Council Watson Felt.
Thank you, President Przewniewski. I always feel like I do this wrong. How do I open it? Do I just start reading it? Thank you. I can't remember. Whereas on February 13th, 2025, we paid tribute to Larry Spang as he steps down from the official service of the City of Salem after more than 2 decades of dedication and service to the Salem Historical Commission. Whereas Larry has served more than 20 years on the Historical Commission, with the last 5 years serving as chair. Whereas his thoughtful review of application... Ooh, what? How dare you? My light's green. I'm going to keep going. Item 3 from the proclamation. Whereas his thoughtful review of applications has helped to guide applicants, often homeowners applying for the first time, through the historic district review process. Whereas Larry's willingness to work closely with applicants to find creative design solutions for building modifications that are both historically appropriate and desirable for the owner distinguishes him apart as a highly collaborative and innovative professional. Whereas Larry has demonstrated patient leadership through complicated and sometimes contentious applications. Whereas his ongoing preservation advocacy work in the city, region, and the state, particularly in response to the ongoing impacts of climate change on historic resources, has helped position Salem as a leader in historic preservation planning. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the mayor of the City of Salem and the Salem City Council express our sincere appreciation and gratitude to Larry Spang for the dedication, kindness, and generosity that he has shared as a member of the Historical Commission. And be it further resolved that this resolution be made a matter of record of these proceedings, and that a suitable copy be presented to Larry along with a copy of the city seal on behalf of the mayor and the city council and the residents of Salem. And I move for adoption by roll call vote.
Council Watson Felt makes a motion to move from a resolution recognizing the service of Mr. Lawrence Spang. Adoption by roll call vote. Madam Clerk? Under further discussion, I'm sorry.
Thank you, President Przewniewski. Just a few comments in support of this wonderful recognition for Larry Spang, who has been, as the proclamation says, 20 years or more. I myself, as former president of Historic Salem Inc., has spent time discussing items with Larry, attending Historic Commission meetings under his chairmanship, seen him working with residents and with neighbors, taking time out of his personal time to come to neighborhoods, to walk streets, sidewalks, walk properties, opportunities and look at these buildings and to help residents. Larry has brought at every turn, every opportunity, he has brought, exactly as this recognition says, patience and creativity and his subject matter expertise. And for that, we all have, I think, a gratitude to pay to him, because as it was noted even earlier today by Mr. Murray, Salem is a leader in historic preservation. The fact that Larry Spang has been able to bring into that preservation in the face of climate change has been really creative, and he's been such a supporter of the work that the city has done there and all of the partnerships that we've established. And so this combination, I think he really represents this combination of preservation in present time and future planning. And I think that those three components are so necessary when we talk about preservation. Preservation is by and large actually also really about sustainability, that if you can save and preserve and reuse materials, that is a part of preserving our built infrastructure. It's not just about the historic integrity of our culture and the city. There's so many components to preservation, and Larry has been an exemplary example of all of those things in his work. And so I personally think Larry as a lifelong Salem resident. I thank him as a counselor. I thank him as a former president of a preservation nonprofit. I thank him as a resident attendee to his meetings. And I hope that he really hears all of our gratitude for his time well served and his break hard earned. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Cohen.
Thank you, President Presniewski. So, yeah, exemplary example. That's pretty cool. I have just two really good examples of what Mr. Spang did. So there was a developer who bought a building on Leach Street Extension, and it had to go through the demolition delay process, and which is kind of complicated in some ways, because not all the properties are in the district, so they don't always, have to adhere to like the historical aspects. They just have to decide whether it's significantly historic. The interesting thing was that the developer agreed to Councilor Watson-Felt point about sustainability, agreed to reinforce the seawall at his expense. But Larry arranged a field trip for the Historic Commission to go to the house, and I had no idea what anyone was talking about, but it was really cool that he did that. And I wish my wife was still in the chamber, because she had a situation where she had to go through something, and she and her architects were a little bit frustrated with the process with the Historical Commission, to be honest. Not that that's ever happened before. And he actually went and met with them and created this thing where there was like a review of all the historic architecture in the area, and I just thought it was really great. And he, there's a difference between just being a member and being a manager, and he kind of managed the process so it could get to a good place. And I felt, in watching the way he chaired the commission, that's the kind of person that we always want to be chairing something, is to make sure that it gets through, and it's there's always going to be divergent views, but to find a good place, for the city and the developer or whoever made the application. Thank you.
Any further discussion? Very good. On Councilor Watson-Felt's motion to recognize the service of Mr. Lawrence Sprang. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilor Watson-Felt?
Yes.
Councilor Varela?
Yes.
Councilor Stott?
Yes.
Councilor Marcillo?
Yes.
Councilor Merkel?
Yes.
Councilor Harvey?
Yes.
Councilor Hapworth?
Yes.
Councilor Davis?
Yes.
Councilor Cohen? And Councilor Presniewski?
Yes. Let the record show. Matter passes unanimously. Thank you, Mr. Sprague. Right. Mayor's informational page, none. Motions, orders, and resolutions, none. committee reports. Councilor Merkel.
Thank you, President Prosnowski. City of Salem and City Council, February 13, 2025. The Committee on Administration and Finance co-posted with the Committee of the Whole, to whom was referred the matter of $80,000 appropriation for a study to fund ballards installation design plans on Essex Street pedestrian mall. Has considered said matter and would recommend adoption.
Councilor Merkel recommends adoption under discussion. No on the acceptance, on the acceptance of the report, all those in favor? On the adoption of the recommendation under discussion.
Thank you, President Prosnowski. We had a good meeting with Chief Miller, Lieutenant Tucker, and Dave Kaczarski discussing the design study proposal from Bowman. It's for permanent and retractable bollards and other barriers for the pedestrian walkway to enhance safety. It would also include assistance from the construction, with the construction oversight, along with just paying for a proposal. There was oversight that they would stay involved with as well. We discussed design placement of the bollards, which would include power line research, infrastructure. The councilors asked questions about enforcement of vehicles not being allowed on the pedestrian walkway, accessibility, emergency vehicles. It was a good discussion. We also discussed the overall vision for improving safety threats, for countering safety threats, and Chief Miller said they are looking at the common as well. The costs are daunting, but we need to respond to the world that we live in. This is critically important, and I appreciated all the information that was presented because it's such an important issue and it's a lot of money to spend. So I appreciated Dave Kaczarski from Transportation showing a very extensive proposal for this, and it was voted on unanimously in favor by the committee. Thank you.
Any further discussion? Seeing none. I'm sorry, Council Stott.
Thank you, President Presnowski. I'm a little slow tonight. Thank you, Councilor Merkel, for holding this conversation. This is definitely something that I am also very excited to see. I think my big two takeaways from this is the $80,000 is just design and construction support. We're going to see another additional, probably triple request when the actual design is done. The other big takeaway that I took from the meeting is our current restrictions for vehicles is 11 to 2, which I think should be reviewed and possibly adjusted because that seems like a lot of money to put up ballards for a 3-hour vehicle restriction. Thanks.
Any other further discussion? Seeing none. On the adoption of the recommendation by Councilor Merkel, all those in favor? Matter carries. All those opposed? Matter carries. Further committee reports, Councilor Hapworth.
Thank you, Mr. President. City of Salem and City Council, February 11, 2025, Committee on Ordinances, Licenses, and Legal Affairs, to whom was referred the matter of granting certain licenses, secondhand valuables and secondhand clothing, has considered said matter and recommend licenses be granted.
On the acceptance of the report, all those in favor? Councilor Hapworth.
On the recommendation, no further discussion.
Any further discussion? Seeing none. On the adoption of the recommendation, all those in favor? Matter carries. Further committee reports, Councilor Varela.
Thank you, President Prosnowski. City of Salem, City Council, February 13, 2025. The Committee on Government Service, to whom was referred the matter of creating an elections commission, has said matter and would recommend discharge from committee with no action taken.
On the acceptance of the report, all those in favor? On the adoption of the recommendation under discussion.
Thank you, President Prosnowski. Again, this is a kind of derivative of what we're going to be talking about for the next order. We are just discharging the regular conversation of creating an elections commission. So for that, I'll save my comments for the next one.
On the adoption of Councilor Varela's recommendation, all those in favor? All those opposed? Matter carries. Further communication reports, Councilor Varela.
Thank you, President Presniewski. City of Salem and City Council, February 13, 2025. The Committee on Government Service, to whom was referred the matter of a home rule petition establishing an elections commission, has considered said matter and would recommend adoption by roll call vote.
On the acceptance of the report, all those in favor? All those opposed? On the, Councilor Varela.
Thank you, President. So we've been having this conversation for quite a while. I'll start with our meeting. So this is to discuss a home rule petition for the general court for a elections commission. We've been talking about this for quite a while. In the meeting we had, obviously our honorable city clerk, we had our board of registrars, as well as the committee and a few members of the committee of a whole. So with this, what we'll be sending is, I'll be very brief about this because we've talked about this a lot. We are going to be abolishing our board of registrars if this does pass with the general court, and we are going to be adopting 5 members, so an additional 2 members to the Elections Commission. The members that are on the board of registrars will continue their term until the expiration, and they will be adopted to the Elections Commission. Concerning the actual home rule petition, a lot of this is adopted from 16A. A lot of the things we did talk about over the last couple of months were just the makeup of that. Obviously, there's equal representation between Republicans and Democrats. That's something that we cannot change, and is something that's baked into General Law 5116A, or 16A, Chapter 51. Obviously, elections have changed the last couple of years, and there's been an undue burden, I believe, on the clerk's office and clerk's offices around the Commonwealth. There's just a lot more that happens with elections nowadays. Furthermore, having an elections commission, I really believe will separating the office from the clerk will be a benefit not only for our voter base and our clerk, but it sends a message that when it comes to who the clerk reports to the city council, and I think taking it out of that office is 100% appropriate. That being said, I think that this is a step in the right direction, and I'm looking forward to seeing what happens. If this is adopted by the legislature, this will be take effect on July 1st, 2026. We have talked to the mayor about when he's comfortable, because I know this is going to have to be a new department, which is something to take not to take lightly. So with that, I'm happy and very stoked that we are adopting a home rule petition and moving forward with the Elections Commission. So with that, a lot of work, but we got it done, and I'm looking forward to seeing what comes back from the legislature. Thank you.
Councilor Cohen.
Thank you, President Presniewski. So I think a lot of us have weighed in on, Council Marcillo did today, on really the ridiculous nature of home rule petitions and the way the legislature, enables or doesn't communities to make decisions that should be autonomous. Having said that, because there's a lot of communities who have had electoral commissions or, departments, whatever, and some for an extended period of time, I'm anticipating that's going to come back to us. But when it does, when we get a docket number, I encourage all the councilors to call, your senator, your representative, and it's always good to call the chair of the committee that it's in, wherever they're from, and let them know that this is something that we've worked on for a long time, and it's really important to us. And I feel like this process has been really positive, the way, the people in the department and the city council have kind of coalesced around this idea. Thanks.
Councilor Marcillo.
Thank you, President. I just want to make the point again to the public that there should be no changes as far as they're concerned. This is the same solid election service that we've always had in the city. It's just managed internally differently. And so I just want to make it clear that there's not going to be any changes to the way our elections in Salem are run from the point of view of the voters. And then secondly, most cities already have election commissions. So I agree that this should be an easy win, but I agree we need to make phone calls. Thank you.
Any further discussion? On Council Varilla's motion to adopt by roll call vote the matter of referring this matter to the home rule petition by roll call vote, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Council Watson-Felt?
Yes.
Council Varela?
Yes.
Council Stott?
Yes.
Council Marcillo?
Yes.
Council Merkel?
Yes.
Council Harvey?
Yes.
Council Hapworth?
Yes.
Council Davis?
Yes.
Council Cohen?
Yes.
And Council Prosnewski.
Yes. On the matter of establishing a home rule petition for election commission, 10 in the affirmative, none in the negative, and 1 absent. Matter carries. Further communications, further committee reports.
Further committee reports. Councilor Prosnewski.
Thank you, Councilor Marcello. The Committee of the Whole, to whom it was referred the matter of the reappointment of the City Clerk Eileen Simons, has considered the said matter and would recommend to reappoint the City Clerk with the term to expire June 27th, 2027 by roll call vote.
On acceptance of the report, all those in favor? All those against? Matter carries. On adoption of the recommendation. Under discussion, Councilor Prosnewski.
Thank you. I'm sure I'm not going to be the only one to speak, so I'm not going to try to put everything in one package, but I can tell you that we had a very good meeting the other day on the Committee of the Whole about our clerk's, not only her duties, but the challenges that she's seeing in the future and how the challenges affect the council and the modernization of bringing this council up to date with certain aspects, especially in the area of technology, which I think the public will be recognizing very soon when they see the changes in our website and the way that they can access our information and our ability to be more transparent because of the work that our clerk put into this. So the committee did vote to unanimously to reappoint Ms. Simons, and I am glad that we did that.
Further discussion, Councilor Varela.
Thank you, President Marcello. I unfortunately couldn't make it to the Committee of the Whole meeting, but just want to say thank you, Eileen, for what you do, and looking forward to being appointed, so thank you very much.
Any further discussion? Councilor Hapworth.
Thank you, Councilor Marcillo. Just want to thank the city clerk for her hard work and the assistant city clerk for their hard work in getting to these goals here. I just really appreciate that hard work. And undeniably, it is awkward to have a reappointment or have a review happen in a public meeting. But it's also pretty cool to have members of the public show up at your job review to speak in favor of you, and a number of members of the public did that. In a couple meetings and tonight, so just appreciate that.
Any further discussion? Councilor Stott.
Thank you. I myself would like to extend my gratitude and thanks to Madam City Clerk for working so hard on those goals that were not easy. There were big rocks. I'm using one of them tonight, and I love it. So appreciate it, and thank you.
Councilor Watson-Felt.
Ditto. Just ditto. Want to be heard to say thank you again, Eileen, for all your hard work and your commitment, not only to evolving the processes that already exist and have existed for some time, but your willingness to engage with the public in new ways. So, and with all of us in new ways. So thank you for your efforts.
Anyone else? On Councilor Presnowski's motion for the reappointment of the city clerk, all those in favor? Oh, roll call vote. Sorry. Madam City Clerk, please call the roll.
Council Watson-Felt?
Yes.
Council Varela?
Yes.
Council Stott?
Yes.
Council Rosillo?
Yes.
Council Merkel?
Yes.
Council Harvey?
Yes.
Council Hapworth?
Yes.
Council Davis?
Yes.
Council Cohen?
Yes.
And Council Presnowski.
Yes.
On the reappointment of the city clerk, Eileen Simons, with a term to expire June 28th, 2027, we have 10 councilors voting, 10 in the affirmative, none in the negative, 1 absent. The matter carries.
Thank you.
Communications from city officials.
First, Chapter 32, Article 5, Section 32-121, we have a communication from the police chief requesting authority to install video surveillance cameras or have access to camera systems at the following locations outlined in the attached letter.
Council Hapworth.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move for adoption.
Council Hapworth moves for adoption. Under discussion.
Thank you, Mr. President. So we've done this before. These are cameras going up at Forest River Park, Castle Hill Park for security, and then some intersections, Highland Avenue and Proctor Street, Lafayette Street and Palmer Street, Derby Street, Blading Street, Boston Street at Aborn, Essex Street at Hawthorne Boulevard. These cameras, as in the past, they are video only, no audio. There's a notice saying that the public will be notified via social media. Talked to the chief about that today because I know there were some concerns about that. There isn't really an official way to notify the public about things like this. The Salem PD does their best on these things. There is a website that's under construction, and you confirm that this sort of thing would be on that website in the future.
Any other discussion, Councilor Morcello?
Thank you, President. I just want to point out that the camera at Castle Hill Park has been requested for a long time, well over a year. It's kind of a tucked away park, and the neighbors who live around it do the policing there, and it's a lot. And so they asked for this camera, and so I'm really happy to see it being installed now. I did reach out to ask about the one at the corner of Highland Ave and Proctor Street, and it's going to be pointed towards Highland Avenue, towards Highland Ave, incoming traffic. So it's not going to be pointed into Proctor Street or anything. It's focused on the roadway on Highland Ave.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Councilor Cohen.
Thank you, President Presnowski. So a couple of years ago, there was a shooting at Forest River Park. And, people live on two sides of it, and they were nervous. And Chief Miller did something I thought that was really great. Councilor Presnowski and I were invited to a neighborhood meeting that was in the police station, so wouldn't alert, the public having too many police at the park at the same time. And this was a big issue. A lot of the parks that are along the water, there's a requirement by the state that there's cameras, but they're on the like on the beachhead. They're not actually facing the park. And, as many people have, I'm kind of addressing this to the ward councilors, will say, there needs to be a patrolman stationed at my intersection. Our public safety people have a lot of stuff to do, and it's really hard. And these kind of systems are not meant to get in people's business. They're meant to create better safety. And, I know like Lafayette Street, we've had 3 pedestrians hit in the last year. So anything that we can do to minimize this, whether it's lighting or cameras or whatever. And I think this goes along with the good work that's being done as far as the school bus cameras. Thank you.
Councilor Watson-Felt.
Thank you, President Presnowski. Just some brief comments. None of these cameras are in Ward 2, but Ward 2 has a number of them. And so I've had an opportunity to discuss these with both residents and the chief on multiple occasions. And let me just say that for the public's awareness,
it's important to know that these are not like, not every single camera does not have a pair of eyes on it 24 hours a day. This is not like ongoing monitored surveillance, but it's incredibly important to the public safety processes that our public safety officials and enforcing agents have available to them. It's one more tool in the toolbox. So as folks will remember, a couple of years ago, we've had, or actually multiple, since I became a counselor in the last 4 years, twice, we've had some of our Pride sidewalks, crosswalks, and some of the Pride art in downtown has been vandalized. And in both cases, these cameras were extraordinarily helpful for identifying the perpetrators in both those cases. Both those cases, perpetrators were found, and the police took corrective and enforcement action. And we all are grateful to them for that. So it is everything from being able to just review, material in the case of a vehicle accident, or leveraging these in real time if there's an ongoing emergency, or also using them to solve crime. So I just want everybody to understand that though they are not monitored 24 hours a day, they're an incredibly important tool in the toolbox, and I'm really grateful that they exist. So thank you to the chief for bringing this forward and to expanding this program in Salem.
Any further discussion? Seeing none. On Councilor Hapworth's motion to adopt a request of our police chief requesting authority to install video surveillance cameras at certain locations. All those in favor? All those opposed? Matter carries. Further communications from city officials.
With the Salem Affordable Housing Trust Fund annual report for fiscal year 2024 being submitted by Elena Emmerich from the Planning Department.
Councilor Stott.
Thank you, President Presniewski. I move that this be received and filed.
Councilor Stott moves that this be received and filed. All in favor? All those opposed? Matter carries. Petitions. I'm sorry, under discussion.
Thank you, President Presniewski. I love the earnestness for this report. I hope we all took a quick glance at it. It's only 4 pages. It reminded me, too, that it was a little over a year ago we removed the counselors from the trust fund committee itself. I kind of miss those meetings. Those were really great meetings where great discussions occurred. Of course, we can all attend as attendees and listen in on those meetings, but we no longer have that regular presence on that committee. So that's why this annual filing is great. I think also it's important to know in the annual filing, the trust fund, keyword fund, responsible for monies is quite low. It's about $6,000 in their trust fund. They were awarded or granted ARPA funds while that ARPA money was available to provide towards projects and this and that, but that was a one-time use. We still need to work on ways to figure out how to get funds into this trust fund that we can then turn back into affordable housing projects within the city or different items there. So I appreciate the work on all of those on the Affordable Housing Trust Fund. And that's all. Thank you.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, Councilor Stott's motion that these be received and filed. All those in favor? All those opposed? Matter carries. Petitions.
We have a petition from National Grid to install conduits to 14 Buchanan Road.
Hearing ordered February 27, 2025. Further petitions.
We have a request from B&S Fitness to hold the Black Cat 10 and 20 miler road race in the use of city streets on March 23rd, 2025 at 8 a.m.
Councilor Hapworth.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move this be granted.
Councilor Hapworth moves that this be granted. Under discussion.
Only discussion is that 10 miles is perfect and 20 miles is too much. But this does go to some great charitable causes. So.
And B&S does a fine job of running a very professional race. Councilor Hapworth moves that this race be granted. All those in favor? All those opposed? Matter carries. Further petitions.
We have a list of license applications for public guides, taxi operators, and taxi cab limos.
Councilor Hapworth.
Mr. President, I move these be granted.
Councilor Hapworth moves that these be granted. Under discussion.
No discussion.
No discussion. All those in favor? All those opposed? Granted. Further petitions.
We have one public guide license application.
Councilor Hapworth.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move these be denied.
Councilor Hapworth moves that this be denied. Under discussion.
No discussion.
No discussion. All those in favor? Those opposed? Matter denied. Further petitions.
We have a list of 5 claims.
Councilor Hapworth.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move to refer to the Committee on Ordinances, Licenses, and Legal Affairs.
Councilor Hapworth moves that the matters be moved to the Committee of Ordinances, Licenses, and Legal Affairs. Under discussion.
No discussion.
All those in favor? All those opposed? Matter carries. Unfinished business.
We have tabled from the meeting held on September 12, 2024. Mayor's reappointments of 3 ZBA appointments.
Councilor Marcillo.
Thank you, President. I move that this be removed from the table.
Councilor Marcillo moves that these be removed from the table. All those.
Second.
We have the mayor's reappointments of the following same residents to the Zoning Board of Appeals for the terms set forth below: Stephen Larrick, Ellen Simpson, and Nina Viden.
Councilor Marcillo.
Thank you, President. I move that for confirmation by roll call vote.
Councilor Marcillo moves for confirmation by roll call vote. Under discussion.
Thank you, President. So I appreciate the 3 reappointments. I appreciate their patience. There was some training that needed to happen for these board members. The ZBA is a really difficult board to be an appointment on. There's a lot of stuff that you have to know legally, and so they had not had training yet, and luckily they've done all the training, and they're doing a good job right now, and so we can move forward with the confirmation.
Any other discussion? On Councilor Marcello's motion to confirm by roll call vote, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Council Watson-Felt?
Yes.
Council Varela?
Yes.
Council Stott?
Yes.
Council Marcillo?
Yes.
Council Merkel?
Yes.
Council Harvey?
Yes.
Council Hapworth?
Yes.
Council Davis?
Yes.
Council Cohen?
Yes.
And Council Presnewski?
Yes. On the motion of the mayor's reappointments to the ZBA, the 3 individuals, we have 10 yeas, no yeas, 1 absent. Matter carried. Further unfinished business, Councilor Cohen.
We have the second passage of an ordinance amending traffic, Chapter 42, Section 50B, handicap parking Wisteria Street.
Councilor Cohen.
I move adoption for second passage.
Councilor Cohen moves for adoption by second passage. Any discussion? No discussion. All those in favor? All those opposed? Matter carries. Further unfinished business.
We have a second passage of an ordinance to amend the traffic, Chapter 42, Sections 51 and 74, relative to Wilson Street and Jefferson Ave.
Councilor Marcillo.
Thank you, President. I move for adoption for second passage.
Councilor Marcillo moves for adoption by second passage. Any discussion?
Yes, thank you. I would like to make an amendment to this particular ordinance. Right now, the ordinance is for a towing zone, prohibiting parking on Wilson Street at the end where the new light is. And the original proposal was that on the southern side, the no parking was for 110 feet. And I would like to amend that to be 145 feet. The original amendment was just up to pretty much where the right-hand turn lane begins, and cars were parking right up to it, and sometimes even into it, but that's a different story. So if we can move it back another 35 feet, it will give access for cars to actually make it into that right turn lane.
Any further discussion? On Councilor Marcillo's motion.
Second amendment.
On Councilor Marcillo's motion to move for adoption for second passage with the amendment that the tow zone be moved from 100 to 145 feet. All those in favor? All those opposed? Matter carries. Councilor Marcillo.
I'm sorry. Where is the 145 going? I'm sorry.
On where it says 110. No, on the west. Yep, so they'll both be 145.
Thank
Councilor Marcelo.
Thank you, President. Point of personal privilege.
Councilor Marcelo moves for personal privilege. Seeing none, Councilor Marcelo.
Thank you. I just wanted to address the question that was brought up earlier in public comment about reporting uncleared sidewalks. I hear you. I just sent an email to the building inspector yesterday with a list of properties in a walk that I took on Jefferson Avenue, Wilson, and Highland Ave. There's two options here. You can send an email to snow@salem.com, or you can send an email to the building inspector, and it's Stavrula, you know that? Okay. Orfanos, thank you. So Orfanos, yes, thank you, Orfanos@salem.com. And she will, send someone out to do an inspection. It's really important, and I hear you on the commercial properties, and I hear you on the amount that is fined is very low, but if they keep doing it, it will build up, and maybe just the nuisance of the city continually sending them fines will make it clear that they need to do a better job. I will also state that it wasn't only sidewalks I was looking at, it was piles of snow that kept you from actually getting onto the sidewalk. It was in several locations along that school pathway, and that's a little disturbing too. So please, people, please report it. I commend you for bringing it up even. It's just it's a battle, and they don't have the staff to go out and do, circuits around the city to find all of the places, so they need our help.
Don't use
Thank you, if you can help.
Fix.
Don't use See-Click Fix, yes, thank you. Yeah, and send it to your ward counselor, yeah, that's.
If you're in downtown,
Send it to any of the at-large counselors, too. Anyone else? I don't want to close this off. Okay.
Councilor Marcelo.
Motion to adjourn.
All those in favor? We are adjourned.